Hello, everybody, and welcome to my talk of using artificial intelligence and automatic deep recognition to automatically evaluate X-ray or radiography data. So my name is Lennart Schomburg. I'm CEO of VC Consult X-ray Systems and Solutions, and we are market leader in the world of industrial X-ray systems, computer tomography systems, with over 250 people globally. And in the last years, we have invested heavily into software and into digital tools, and among those is artificial intelligence. So probably you all have heard from AI tools like ChatGPT and others. There's a big media hype around it too. But let me explain that ChatGPT is not the type of AI that we are talking about. ChatGPT is called what's generative AI, so it is generating content, generating things. Obviously, this is not something we want to have done in the X-ray world. We are much rather looking at automatically identifying indications and defects and assisting operators. But the question might come up, what actually is artificial intelligence? This word is used everywhere in different contexts and in different meanings. So what we need to do is establish an understanding what we actually talk about. So this is one of the many definitions out there that is quite common. If we talk about artificial intelligence, we mean the simulation of human intelligence by software-coded heuristics. Complicated sentence, and there's a lot included. So let's start with the first part of it. It's a simulation. This means we are simulating human behavior. So the input to whatever we train an artificial intelligence on is incredibly important. Additionally, it's not exceeding the knowledge of the human, it's just embedding it inside its algorithms. When we talk about human intelligence, what is intelligence? Intelligence means the capability to solve a task. We are not talking about self-learning capabilities. We are not talking about AI systems doing their own, getting their own life on their own, making their own decision. No, we are talking about an AI taking over or doing the same task work that a human would have done in the past. And how is that done? Through software-coded heuristics. This is a fancy word for statistics. So we use statistical tools like regression and clustering to actually drive or achieve a certain behavior. But these statistics are nothing new. Just the amount of computing power that we have available has changed. So to sum it up, we are simulating human behavior that we need to show the AI to train it in order to achieve a model that is achieving a task, like evaluating an image, that has in the past been done by a human through software embedded statistics. This is the definition of artificial intelligence as we'll use it in this environment. So what does that mean specifically? These are welding images where we apply AI to first of all localize and then segment and measure indications in these weld images. So in this case, the task would be what a level 2 or maybe even level 1 would do in some cases, look at these images, find all indications, measure them, and make them ready for a decision. The decision itself is not done here. It's only the indication, finding, and measurement. So this is where we want to go towards. And what you will see a lot today is a software tool that we've developed in the past years. It's called the Compass. It's, to our knowledge, the only AI-powered X-ray copilot. So it's a tool that's integrated in the X-ray evaluation software that's automatically finding these indications, as you can see here, marking them in certain color, and the color is based on the material type. So there's a classification step in there too, and then it's automatically measuring them to help operators to make better decisions faster. So what do we want to have covered today at the end of the session? I want you to have an understanding what is AI and machine learning and what it is not. What's the role of data in artificial intelligence? What is the potential for AI and NDT? So why should we actually apply it? How can it be implemented in practice? What's the improvement potential, both technical but also efficiency-wise? What are the prerequisites? How does the AI process get qualified? And then also look into what are the risks and things you have to watch out for during this implementation step. So let's start with the drivers. So the quote from the top is from one of our bigger aerospace customers that has a lot of X-ray systems in place. And as you all of you might know from the news or from your own experience, there's a huge ramp up coming in the aerospace world. So we're gonna see huge build rate increases by both Boeing and Airbus. And this particular NDT manager told us that leadership asked him to hire 100 new X-ray techs across all different sites in the coming months. There's absolutely no chance that they are able to achieve this target. There's just not enough skilled labor out there that can fulfill these throughput requirements. So a big driver for automation and artificial intelligence is the lack of skilled labor. So when we think about robots and AI, we sometimes think about, oh, what impact will that have on the workforce? Will this lead to layoffs? That's not the case. We need we lack the capacities to actually fulfill the amount that we need. So lack of skilled labor is one of the main drivers. Quality issues and potential customer explaints. So of course, humans can make mistakes. This is what's described in probability of the detection studies. So nobody ever is perfect. So there is the risk of missed indications, missed defects. So this is where algorithms, artificial intelligence, ADR can help to make better decisions. With that, I'm not saying an ADR is better than a human. I'm just saying that another layer of safety could really help to make sure that we are not missing something. And obviously, throughput, and this has a little bit to do with the first one. We need to ramp up our production cycles. We need to increasingly get more competitive to be successful in a globalized landscape. And for this efficiency, cycle time demands are incredibly high. So with these tools, we can try to be faster and more efficient, while at the same time hopefully increasing the quality standards. This is what the underlying drivers for this technology. And this is pushing for what we call smart inspection. So using Copilot's assisted tools to actually assist inspectors, operators to make better decisions faster by giving guidance, by helping with certain type of measurements. And if we look on this McKinsey study, we directly see that NDT or part of NDT is very, very well suited for the usage of AI. So what you see is these are the areas where AI is really highly attractive to be used at because of the way these tasks are structured. And you can see where AI is really, really good is predictable work, data processing, data collection. And this is pure NDT level 1, level 2 work, data collection, getting the X-ray data processing it, and making labeling or measuring all these indications and making final decisions. Predictable work, we're always looking at the same part. There's not a lot of variance in there. So first of all, the good news is high potential for AI. The second good news is a high percent of time spent on these like very little variance tasks. On the other hand, AI also is bad at certain things. And this is the good news for us humans, because we don't want to be all replaced by AIs. We want the AI to help us with these, let's say, routine tasks. Where AI is bad is managing people, applying expertise, stakeholder interactions, talking to other departments, talking to customers, unpredictable physical work, dealing with the unpredictable. This is where humans will be very, very strong in the future, or very, very, very needed in the future. This is human territory. Interacting with people, managing people, building new techniques, typical like level 2 upwards, level 3 work. There's a lot of potential and a lot of need for that too. So AI has potential, but only in certain areas. And if we look at what is the potential out there, we've done a number of of studies. So we've looked at agreement rates of operators with themselves and with each other. That was quite surprising for us. So when we looked at the same operator or the same inspector, the same image, just a different day, we had agreement rates between 70 and 90%. This was already quite interesting. Nothing changed in this image. It was absolutely the same image. If we've shown the same image to different operators or different inspectors, we've achieved agreement rates of 60 to 85%, which is quite low, especially on the lower end. This is not necessarily absolutely critical because we are talking about indication detection rates. We are not talking about defect detection rates, but still there is a quite big variance in the human judgment of these indications. If we look on the AI, we have obviously an AI agreement rate with itself of 100%. If you show an algorithm the same image twice, you get the same result. This is not very surprising, but there is a deterministic element to it. If we look at the average AI accuracy compared to the ground truths, then we have in most of our use cases accuracy rates above 98%, which is significantly above above what we see by pure human operators. Why is that the case? Because we have fluctuating attention spans over the day. We have fatigue, we have distractions, all these things an AI does not have. But very important, we talk about repeatable routine work here. So nothing unexpected comes up. The humans will be incredibly good at picking up the unexpected. The AI is really, really good at picking up the expected. So together they could make up a really good team. On the efficiency side, we have human operators that need roughly 10 to 16 seconds per a single image. It depends a little bit on the part and the amount of indications inside. But on average, we are talking about maybe 45 seconds per image to read it. An AI, the AI result only takes 300 milliseconds, so 0.3 seconds. But then the human still needs to verify the AI results, maybe correct some of them. So on average, we end up with 0.7 seconds per single image. This is like still a magnitude faster than without AI assistance. So we don't even need to talk about full automation. Just by introducing an AI as a co-pilot, we can significantly bring down the inspection time to an amount similar to that. So what are we actually looking at? So on the left, we have an X-ray image unprocessed. For the sake of us humans, we have processed it with an image filter, and the AI on the right has identified all indications through this overlay. And I will get to that a little bit more. But what is already being able to be seen here, the AI can work in different areas, density areas of the part. For example, this indication here, you can barely see it here. The AI has picked it up. You can't see it in the unprocessed image. So we might think, oh, the processed image is much better than the unprocessed. This is actually not true because this raw image had 65,000 gray values, and as humans, we can see 74. So what we have done in the center, we have compressed 65,000 gray values and 74, so we humans can actually see it. But by doing that, it looks better for us humans, but it's a lot of information is lost. So the advantage of the AI is it can work in all density areas and all gray value areas along the whole histogram. This is a huge advantage that we humans, just because of our biological constraints, do not have. So talking about terminology, you already heard me saying indication and defect. This is hugely important because an indication is an anomaly inside the part. It is not a judgment yet. A defect is when somebody has done an interpretation and an evaluation. So this leads to a judgment call. It's relevant, it's acceptable, it's rejectable. So when we look on the left, if we look into the physical part, we have a weld, physical weld. We take a digital X-ray image, we are digitizing the weld from a discontinuity or something that's inside the weld from a discontinuity in the physical part to an indication on the screen. And then this indication has to be found, and then an interpretation has to be made and an evaluation. What the AI does in an assistant mode is only detecting indications. So the AI never does makes a decision. The AI never makes a judgment call and evaluation. This is hugely important for qualifying these tools because the standards currently, in many cases, especially in the aerospace and weld inspection, do not allow yet to make judgment calls, evaluations through an AI system, but it's certainly allowed to find indications and to present those indications to a human, and that human makes a judgment call based on the indications. So this is hugely important. We do not make decisions with the AI, we are finding indications. And ultimately, looking at how this looks like, this is the user interface of our software. You see some tools that I will not explain further here today that are used to interpret the image, to annotate it. You have some navigation environment, and then you have the Compass toolbox. And this is where you see those things that you've seen before. What's the AI model that's been used? You have the found classes of defect, of indications that are found. You see the different layers. You have your segmentation tools where you can change annotations or add annotations or delete them. And then you have a list of all indications below it. So you have a sorted list by size, so you can click on each of these tiles and you can actually jump from indication to indication to verify whether they are correct. And what you see here in the center is exactly the problem that I described before with the big amount of gray values. So this white area actually is not white, it's just a different gray value scale. So by window leveling, we can see this one, but we can't see this one. So the AI has picked up something in that area. It's a shrinkage, but we cannot see it without window leveling in that area. This is where AI really, really can help, that we do not miss something in an area we are currently not looking at. So summarizing that first area, because it's really, really important, what AI does and what it doesn't do. First of all, it is localizing indications. Then it's classifying those indications into what we call defect types. Then it measures those diameter, area, based on millimeter, inch, pixel, whatever you want to or have set in your settings. It provides you a probability for each indication. How high is the confidence that this really is a certain thing? That really helps with the review process. And then it generates a sorted list of indications that you can export into a report or can use for other things. And all that in roughly 200 milliseconds automatically. So this is 200 milliseconds is what a human normally needs to look at the image and start to process it. You have it on the screen, you have your indications. But now taking a step back, this is what I wanted to convey. This is what the AI does, how it works. And now let's look at how do we get there. So if we, as a solution provider, get an inquiry for an AI implementation, first of all, we go through the step one. We look at, we try to understand your business. So we try to understand how does your business work? What parts are you looking at? What's the economic factors? Because in some cases, it really makes no sense to implement an AI. For an example, if you have a lot size of 1 and you produce 10 parts a year, it really makes no sense to train an AI. The cost and effort you will put into training an AI is significantly bigger than what you get out of it by having it. If you're a producer of automotive castings and you're producing 5,000 a day, the math looks completely different. It makes a lot of sense to invest the time and to do it. So first of all, you need to understand, or we need to understand, is the implementation actually commercially feasible? The next step is the technical understanding. We need to look at, are the technical requirements given? Do you have a digital system? Do you have a proper process implemented? Do you have a certain kind of repeatability in your acquisition process? Is the resolution of the image high enough? So several things need to be checked on the technical understanding side. And you would be surprised how many people come to us and say, hey, I want to implement AI. I say, great. What kind of system do you have? And they come with film. Okay, film does not work. I mean, yes, we could digitize the film and apply it there, but that's not very efficient. So first of all, you need to have a digital system implemented to actually talk about AI. And then we go into data understanding. We need to look into the data structure. How is the data being built up? This is not a trivial step, but typically done by our data scientists. Once this is all checked and we have a check mark behind everything, we start to create data. So we need to have training data, images that we can use for our data science to do the feature engineering, model training, parameterization, to build the AI model. And out of that comes the finished and finalized AI model, and we bring it to the evaluation step. So we go through the technical evaluation. We see, does it deliver the results that you want? So does it have the detection rates, the accuracy? We look at the statistics. We look at the business side. We look at, does it really deliver what you wanted it to deliver? Let's assume you wanted 40% increase in throughput. Did we really achieve this target through those algorithms? And then comes the prototype that goes into your manufacturing line to actually evaluate the performance live. And only then, if it's qualified, deployed, evaluated, we can talk about really putting it live and assisting people in the field. So it's quite a process that has to be stepped. And let's start this process with, how do we actually get towards a model? So let's assume you have a new use case. First of all, we need to have data. We need to look at the data of the images of your parts. We need to look at the kind of indications. So you upload that data into a sharing infrastructure. And then our data science team or our software makes a data preparation, converts it to the right format, and then applies the AI. So this is really important. It's a new use case, but we have what we call a generalized AI model that's applied out of the box. So we applied it to your images, we get a result. The result is sent back to you to review. So you look through our software platform, you look through your images, and you say, this is good, this is not good, here's a correction, here's some changes. So you do corrections. You bring precision into the image. And this then is being saved, and the final data is uploaded. By that, once we have the final corrected data, we can do a statistic. How good was that first shot compared to how good should it really be? And then beyond building that statistic, we fine-tune the model. When we do the same step, we apply, you review, we look at the statistics. And this way we see over time that the data improves, that the data or that the accuracy improves, and how good it is until it is good enough. And for that, we have built a we have built a defect database with 177 classes, like for example, inclusions, porosity, cracks, and many others. They are built on the DIN IDs of these defect types, and you can actually tap into the available pre-trained data that is built on these groups. So this is already very, very helpful also to later tie back the findings of the AI to your requirements and specifications. And you might ask yourself now, okay, I'm always hearing big data. What does that mean? How much data do I actually need to have to come to what's a new model? So typically, and I say typically because it really depends on the case. We have, for example, in welds and castings, we have a quite well pre-trained model already. So for many cases, it works out of the box. But on a new data category or completely new part type with new classes, we are typically looking at the need for 100 indications times 4, if you have 4 classes. So let's assume you have a case with 4 defect classes. Let's say a porosity, a crack, an inclusion, and a burn through. So 4 classes, you need 4 times 100 indications, and then we multiply this by some type of factor, which is to increase data complexity 1.5 and data variance 1.5. So it leads to 900 indications in total, 225 per class. So we are talking about big data, but in the end, we are only talking about 225 images per class, or 900 indications in total, which is a really nice, I think, a really nice outcome. It's absolutely manageable. So with that data, you do the labeling. So you build your mask, and then you submit that to us, and our data science team is bringing the image and the mask into our training environment. So we have developed our own proprietary model training environment where we build the AI. So this is where all the magic happens. We are using your data and mix it with pre-trained data from our segmentation database, from our pre-trained model weights. And based on that comes an optimized AI model. And the magic is in mixing the terabytes of labeled data we already have with your data so that you as a customer need to do less labeling work, which is time consuming, to make it as efficient as possible. And on that labeling side, it's important that we have consistency. So what you see here is the same image, first of all, on the right. So this is the same one as this one. And as you can see, it really makes a big difference whether you show it like this or like this. You would make different decisions. And this has to do with the 65,000 gray values again. Because if your window level is different or have different contrast, you will get to different perceptions. So we have actually distributed this image to 5 people. We've asked them to make segmentation on that. And what you can see here is that the red one is where literally nobody agreed, less than 20%. Then you have the orange one or yellow one, which is where roughly 50% agreed. And the green one is where most people agreed. So the good thing is really everybody found every indication. So you have a green dot everywhere. But you can also see the measurement results are very, very, very inconsistent. And this is first of all providing an issue because this is reducing the accuracy of the human inspection process on the one hand, but also, as we remember the first slide on what AI is, it's modeling human behavior. So if you now use this data to train an AI, you would get the same inconsistency from a computer, from an AI. So what we do is actually we have a step of objectification. So we have, for example, 3 level 2s evaluating the different the same image, and then we have one master evaluator which is assisted by algorithms to make the final call and objectify the data. And this is then what we call the ground truth, the ultimate truth that we can know. And this is a hugely important step in data curation that we do on our end through the labeling process as a service for our customers. And with that, we have a clean ground truth data set that goes into the indication and image database. And then we smartly recombine data sets to create new models. So let's assume we have a new use case coming along, which is a welding line in an aerospace turbine, and we don't have a lot of data on it. So we label some of the use case specific data with our customer, but then we use a lot of the weld data sets we have already available in our database. So we use the right similar looking images to expand the data set in a way that we need less images from our customer and get good results faster. So it's a huge advantage in having these indication and defect classes and material data sets. Out of the training process and the labeling process comes a build model. So that build model is then applied to be used in the field. So we have a step we call inference. So an inference is applying the AI to an image and providing a prediction mask, the outcome, the labeling. So the image comes from a system, an X-ray system. This could be a system from our company, but this could also be an image coming from an existing installation. We work with all suppliers or all manufacturers of X-ray systems in the market. So you don't need to replace your X-ray system. It's an add-on to the X-ray system. The image comes out. It gets put through a rack or through some kind of a computational, through some kind of a computer. It could be a GPU in a rack or in a little cube or a CPU, and out comes a prediction mask in roughly 200 milliseconds. And the prediction mask, again, just as a reminder, a prediction mask is these colorful dots that you see on the image. And this is just another representation how that works. The image goes to a server, and on the server, this is where the AI is being applied, but the AI could also be applied in the cloud. So it really depends how your process is in terms of data, how it moves through your system. So now we have covered why do we need an AI, or what could it do for us? How does it technically work? How is the process to implement it? We have touched base on how do I build my model. We have touched base on how do I apply the AI in once it's implemented, deployed. So now we look at how do I evaluate its performance. And for that, we use these confusion matrices, for example. So we look at the validity of different outcomes. And generally, if you look to the right corner, there's 4 cases. Case number 1, you have an indication and you correctly identify, or the AI correctly identifies there's an indication. This is what we call a true positive. Jackpot, best case. Then you have another case, there is no indication, and the AI says there is no indication. Perfect, good job. It has correctly identified that there is nothing. Now we come to the cases where things go wrong, and this is option 1. There is no defect or no indication in the part, but the AI finds an indication. So that means we detect something that is not present. This is obviously not great because it might need to more reviews or to maybe even scrapping a part unnecessary, but it's not critical because we never risk a part escaping your quality process. It's what we call a type 1 error or false alarm, false positive. The more critical case is if there is an indication and the AI did not find it. This is a miss or type 2 error, false negative. This can be potentially dangerous and needs to be either eliminated or double scrutinized by inspectors. And the good news is there is a great statistical way to actually look at the performance and prove it. You can do that. I will not deep dive here because this would be a presentation on its own. There is, for example, probability of detection curves that tell you what you can find and what you cannot find anymore. There is confusion matrices. There is like this histogram type of way where you look at to what defect or indication size do I actually still find something. And there is a tracking of the false positives or true positives rates. So you look at the accuracy or miss rate of your system. And you can do that over time. So you can actually plot over time how good is my performance. As I said, we'll not go into that specifically. There are many different ways to measure that. I just want you to be aware there is good ways to also visualize it. And now maybe let's look at 1 or 2 examples, how this can look in the practice. This is an aerospace welding application. So it's thin titanium and aluminum tubes that are welded to the e-beam, to an e-beam process. And you have these tiny little, sometimes 2-3 pixels only indications inside, or sometimes bigger ones like this lack of fusion here in the center. So we have 4 indication classes or defect classes. It's cavity, a porosity, for a material, it's an inclusion, a burn through, and a lack of fusion. And you can see the TPRs, so the accuracy rates on the right. 98% for porosities, 95% for inclusions, 98% for lack of fusion, 100% for burn through. So it's quite nice results given the complexity of these indications and the small size of it. And then, of course, you can also plot all that in a nicer way and look at, is it actually relevant false positives or true negative or true positives. So you can make some further analytics, which I will not go into detail. But this is obviously all the stuff you need to do if you want to qualify an AI as a decision-making tool in your company, what we can certainly help you with. And the same then goes for other applications. This, for example, the oil and gas world, we already have 12 classes. So we have some of the other ones like lack of fusion, and burn through, but there is a lot more. There's cracks inside, there's undercut, there's better. So we are building on top of this categorical expansion in this case. Automotive castings, we've seen that too. We are talking about 6 classes here: foreign material, gas hold, gas porosities, cold fill, shrinkage filaments. So typical casting defects that need to be found automatically with similar results. And I want to share one great example for you how this can be abstracted away through the class structure. So we've got approached by a food processing company that wanted to find these little pin bones that need to be cut out or water jetted out in the processing process. And we have received images from that company, but unfortunately only around 10. So that's obviously not a lot if we look at training in AI. So what we have done is we've looked at the data and we have looked at our data set that we already had available on the pre-training data. And we've identified that fish bones, look a lot like inclusions. So we took all the data from the inclusion data sets we had in the inclusion indication classes and then substituted that or expanded it by 5 images of these fish images. And out came a detection rate of over 99% on these pin bones on a pixel level, which is incredibly exciting given the tough structure of this fish and the non-available of big data. So this is where really our available data stock and experience comes in very, very handy to bring in new applications and parts. And also here applies the Pareto principle 2080. So with quite a bit of effort, you can get quite far. But then over time, it takes a lot of time and big investments to really bring an AI model to perfection. So we've started in, I think, 2020. We started with our AI development. We have started from scratch several times in the beginning. Now we have quite a big data science team and label team on that. And only over time, over the years, with the right algorithms, the right data, we were able to approach this closer to this 100%. And we are assuming that we will converge towards the 100% in the next 1 or 2 years. But it is quite an effort, and the 20% go far, or the 80% go fast, but then the last 20% take still a lot of time. So wrapping that up, the qualification part, there is actually standards out there, or there's a guide out there. So there is the E3327 of the E07 ASTM branch out there that deals with qualifying assisted deep recognition systems. So it's a great guide developed by statisticians and practitioners that tells how can I actually implement such a system, how do I qualify it, and how do I supervise it. And we don't need to go into the detail here, but there is great documentation on how do I do first implementations, how do I measure performance, how do I then measure performance of updates. Because this is really important. Sometimes the perception out there is that AI systems are self-learning, so that they get better over time. And this is true, but not automatically. So yes, with every time an operator corrects the AI decision, we have a new data point we can use for training. But this data point never goes automatically back into an update, but it goes back into the learning set. And at one point, we recompile the AI and we look at the performance again and we say, did it improve? And we say, yes, okay. And then we deploy it, but then we need to do the same qualification process as we did in the beginning. So we need to check the statistics. Am I increasing performance? Never ever is an AI being updated automatically, because this can be potentially very, very dangerous. So implementation, good point. What do I get out of it? So we identified 3 phases with our customer. Phase 1, implementing it as assisted AI. And this, out of the box, can be used by nearly everybody, because implementing an assisted implementation does not require qualification in many areas. As long as the human clicks on the button that they make the decision on that image, the operator level 2, that's the person guaranteeing the correctness of the decision. So an AI never does a decision, and the AI only supported the human. The human made the decision, and the human is liable for that. So that's the easiest step. And as we have seen before, there's huge saving potential when applying an assistance feature. So we have measured that the efficiency or throughput roughly increases by 60% if a human is assisted or enhanced by algorithms like AI. So this is a really low-hanging fruit. Can be implemented very fast, doesn't need a lot of qualification, and we can start learning. Phase 2 is interesting too, because we are showing inspectors a lot of images where there is no indication inside. Actually, we're looking at noise. We're looking at meaningless data. We're not seeing something. So we are overwhelming people with things they don't need to look at. And this actually is something we can get rid of if we know with enough certainty, let's say 99.99%, that there is no indication inside. We stop showing this image to humans. We only show to humans those images that have with a certain probability something inside. This obviously you can only do if you have sufficient statistical data about your implementation. So you need to go to phase 1 first, especially in the aerospace environment. You need to qualify that my decision system or my AI system has, let's say, a 99.99% accuracy on certain things. And then you can talk to your end customer or to your qualifying body to move to phase 2. And what our customers told me, if phase 2 is arrived, we roughly can expect to have 50% less images shown to a human. So there's a huge increase. Already, this is 60% increase in efficiency. This is another 50% increase in efficiency. And only then, in the last step, we might be able, in some applications earlier than others, to talk about full AI, and the human steps back and only supervises the AI, parameterizes it, and takes care of dealing with the unexpected things the AI cannot deal with. This is really the last step and will probably take a couple of years in terms of qualification and statistical data building. But we'll get there at some point. And this is the implementation roadmap we see. And we get asked a lot, oh, so AI will replace humans. This is very, very unlikely in the near future. We'll need humans to, as I said before, to deal with the unexpected, to interact with other humans like supervisors, other departments, customers. We need to build the techniques. We need to interpret AI results. We need to train the AI. There's a lot of work for humans. And it's very unlikely that humans will replace, that AI will replace humans anytime soon, especially given the lack of skilled labor we have today. But it's very likely that humans using AI will replace humans not using AI, or companies using these new tools will replace or be more competitive than their peers not using that. So we see AI more as an enhancement tool, as an assistance tool that helps us to be more competitive and better. And to finish it off on a positive note, this is a study, not from the NDT world, but from another task. And it has measured, and by the way, you don't need to look at the details. I'll try to explain it. They've looked at two groups of people. One group of people did a task and then did the same task again, just the same. The second group did the same task, but on the second time, they had the assistance of an AI system. So what you can see here is that the group that did not, is the gray group, that did not have the AI at its disposal, they became a little bit faster. And they became surprisingly and not a lot better. This might be the overconfidence that we have because, right, we know this. But we became a little bit faster. We became a little bit, it was, but similar grade. On the other hand, you have the AI group, the green one. The time dropped by 50% through AI. At the same time, the performance increased by roughly 20%. 50% decrease of time, 50% decrease of time, 20% increase of performance. This is remarkable. But what's even more remarkable, when this group was asked, both of these groups, how much do you like your job and how self-empowered did you feel, your self-efficacy? The outcome was that the AI group's grades were significantly higher than the non-AI group. So not only did the AI group get better and faster, but also they enjoyed their job more and they thought they were doing better than before. And I think this is a very positive note that we don't need to be afraid of AI. We can embrace it and apply it to our world in NDT2. So this all that I told you is the status quo. So these AI systems, these software solutions, they are running in production environments. They are out there in the field. You could reach out to us tomorrow to learn more. But our team is obviously also working already on the future. So we see three big topics we are highly engaged and involved in the AI space. One of it is what we call next level human-machine interaction. So we all see these ChatGPT things these days. We are training large language models. We are building chatbots that will allow you over time to interact with your machine through a voice interface, through a chat interface. And it will also allow you to access or tap into know-how like techniques or standards, guidelines, requirements, specifications through such a chat interface. So imagine asking your X-ray system, please tell me what duplex IQI I need to use to inspect this weld. And I will tell you, according to the ASME requirements, you need to use duplex Y11 and a whole type of X. So it really helps you to tap into knowledge and to be more efficient in interacting with your machine. Also, we are increasingly investing time in more powerful and fast universal models. So currently, the time for the model is still like 150, 200 milliseconds, but we want to bring it down to real time so that you can use real-time radiography and find indications in a real-time environment. We want to converge closer to 100% of detection probability so that out of the box, you have a universal model available that you do not need to train. So our goal is that none of you applying an AI ever needs to fine-tune their data, and if doing that just by a very, very few to make the adoption curve faster. Last but not least, is qualification. It's super important. So we are working with the standardization bodies, whether it's the ASTM, ISO, or EASA and others, to make sure that models are pre-qualified, are ready to use in even critical environments by proving the statistical performance out over time so that the burden of people implementing it is highly reduced. And as you can see, we are in the beginning of this AI wave in NDT. In other areas where we see ChatGPT or image generation, it's starting to mature. In NDT, we are at the beginning. So it's a very exciting time where we'll see a lot of change, a lot of adoption, a lot of potential coming from it. And with that, I want to conclude. Artificial intelligence is only one part of our NDT or NDE 4.0 roadmap. We have more on that. We have automation, robotics, simulation, computer tomography, cloud connectivity. But if you ask me, AI probably is one of the biggest drivers of future potential and future impact. With that, I'm closing here. These welds are running in the background. I hope it also comes across in the recording. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me via email or through the event platform, or just hit me up on LinkedIn, Lennart Schulenburg. I'm happy to answer any questions that come up, and I hope to meet you on the next conference in person. Thank you for your attention and listening.